An easement, or the right to use or enter onto another's land, can be classified in two ways. An easement appurtenant is a right that attaches to the land and remains on the land even if it's later conveyed. An easement in gross, on the other hand, is a right that's personal in nature between a grantor and a grantee. In determining whether an express easement is appurtenant or in gross, a court seeks to ascertain the party's intent. In Green v. Lupo, the Court of Appeals of Washington considered if the grant of an ambiguous easement was either appurtenant or in gross. Don and Florence Green contracted to sell the north tract of a parcel of land they owned near Tacoma, Washington, to James and Anna Lupo. Pursuant to the contract, the Lupos promised to finance the purchase through installment payments, and the Greens retained a mortgage on the tract to secure the debt. While the Lupos were paying under the contract, they asked the Greens to renounce their interest to a small section on the north tract through a deed of release. The deed of release would allow the Lupos to obtain financing to construct a home on that part of the tract. The Greens agreed to provide the Lupos with the deed of release in exchange for a promise of an express easement along the South 35 of the northern tract. The easement specifically was to be granted to both Don Green and Florence Green. Additionally, the terms of the easement were for, quote, ingress and egress for road and utility purposes, unquote. Subsequently, the Greens developed a mobile home park on their land, where some occupants used the easement as a practice runway for their motorcycles. After the Lupos made their final payment and obtained title to the north tract, they refused to grant the Greens the easement as promised and instead placed logs on the southern boundary of their tract to restrict access. The Greens then sued the Lupos in Superior Court, asking the court to specifically enforce the agreement to grant an easement. In response, the Lupos claimed that the easement was only for the Greens' personal use and occupancy of their cabin. The court agreed, concluding that the easement was in gross, or only for the Greens' personal use. As a result, the court ordered that the Greens' use be limited to ingress and egress to their own cabin and prohibited the use of motorcycles on the easement. The Greens appealed to the Court of Appeals of Washington.